with regard to the number of survivors, our rescue efforts is actually ongoing, and there are still areas, especially in Bugo and even in another municipality, San Remigio, that remains inaccessible. So basically, we will be searching again and going to those far-flung communities, and hopefully, we will not find any more casualties, but rather just to provide relief to those affected people. Over.
So the death toll is expected to rise significantly?
There's actually no report that indicates that, but perhaps there's possibility that in other areas where it was not yet accessed or accessible, we can find, hopefully, no casualties there. Because based on the assessment that we did, especially in San Remigio, wherein 22 casualties were reported, the government was saying that there are still barangays or communities that they weren't able to reach or was not, giving any report as to the situation in their communities.
Have a lot of homes been destroyed? Are people needing places to shelter and access to basic supplies?
Yes, definitely. Just last night, I was roaming around in Bugo and San Remigio, and most of the people are actually sleeping outside. Their homes damaged or not damaged, and basically they are actually outside in the elements. And almost every evening, it rains in Cebu, and with the imminent typhoon coming, that actually adds to the burden of the internally displaced people in this area as well. So help would be really, immediate support would really be needed to people, especially that food is running low and they don't have access to potable water, no electricity, signal is intermittent. And again, the structures, every 30 minutes, they claim aftershocks are actually happening. So it's a very terrible condition to be in right now.
How many aftershocks are you experiencing? Residents still can't sleep easy, can they, with some structures deemed too dangerous to go near?
Definitely. And when you go, when you visit communities, you'll see that houses are still standing. And you might think that they are, in good shape. But when you go inside, when you inspect a bit, further, you'll see that the inside walls are have collapsed, or ceiling have fallen. And that's why last night when I was sleeping in the car, I actually felt like, that was 3 a.m. And I cannot sleep, but I counted at least 5 to 6 tremors. The vehicle was swaying, so you can just imagine for a span of 2 to 3 hours. That's the number of aftershocks that I've experienced personally.
Wow! And you're sleeping in the car because you feel safer there overnight at the moment?
Yes, it feels safe in the car. At the same time, there's no accommodation in the area since electricity is down, water supply is down. Even food is hard to, restaurants and stores, they're actually closed. Either they're closed or their structures are damaged. That's why, they cannot operate. So when you go there, you really need to bring, your own food and water when you do assessment in the area.
Can you describe for us a bit more some of the scenes of the areas that have been hit by the quake as you walk through?
As we were passing through, the inner streets of a certain village, I could actually see people on the street sleeping, literally sleeping, either in the street or on the sidewalk, and they just have some form of makeshift shelter in a form of a plastic tarpaulin over their head, just to prevent them from being soaked when rain falls. And underneath, they just use very thin bed sheets, which is also what you call this challenging, given the temperature. It drops significantly in the early evening, early dawn. So and they actually tolerate that because they'd rather stay outside and sleep outside with all the mosquitoes and the elements rather than gambling inside their houses, and experiencing the aftershocks, multiple aftershocks, and you don't know how sturdy your house is.
It must be really frightening. A state of calamity has been brought in to Cebu province. What does that allow authorities to do?
Basically, it allows the authority to have more or less blanket approach in terms of providing aid, especially food. That has the government just rolled out food distribution yesterday and today, but based on the assessment we did, they haven't gone to the communities yet because number one, they have challenge in terms of logistics, and number two, some of the roads are inaccessible. But number three, these people or these communities are the ones that is actually relying on aid right now, and hopefully they receive it in due time, since this emergency or what they call this has been declared the state of calamity, and also not just food. People needs shelter support. People needs a psychosocial first aid because women and children are panicking. Even men, they're very traumatized right now, and that's one intervention, especially during earthquake situations or emergency. That is number one. What they call this support that we can provide to people just by just listening and them sharing their experiences just to vent out those traumatic experiences that already is a huge help to the affected people.
Is there anything that the international community can do to help?
Well, basically, the international community like CARE, even other PRI NGOs, our partners, and the UN, we're actually conducting comprehensive assessment right now. And in fact, CARE already provided life-saving support by form of food aid in an area wherein it hasn't received any yet. But hopefully, as we progress and the data and information flows in, and we are able to identify how many has been affected in terms of shelter damage, in terms of needing food, hygiene kits or wash kits, then definitely the international community, the humanitarian community, along with the national government, will be providing complementation support to avoid duplication and also to reach as many affected population as possible.
How prepared are authorities for natural disasters like this? I mean, the Philippines sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire and experiences more than 800 quakes every year.
Actually, the government is quite experienced or prepared. However, in areas such as this one, we're in Bugo in the north, it does not experience this. If this is the first time, if I may, assume or anticipate that they did not anticipate any earthquake happening. In fact, I read somewhere that this new fault line. This has been what they call this. The energy has been released because it hasn't moved in 400 years, and emergencies such as earthquake is really difficult to manage compared to typhoons, wherein you can prepare, and after the typhoon wanes down or leaves the country, then you can start rebuilding. But with what you call this with the earthquake situation, there's still a lot of tremors after shocks you experience. So basically, you're always on a tiptoe, and you're always paranoid. Every 30 minutes, you anticipate that the ground will be moving and shaking again. So until such time that the ground or have settled and we can no longer experience those tremors, then basically hopefully the situation and the recovery effort could progress and start onwards until we have fully recovered.
Must be a terrifying experience. Jerome Lanit, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time, and do stay safe.
Thank you.